We've graphed cosine with amplitude, periods, reflections, and vertical shifts. In this lesson, this would be lesson 8, we're going to talk about graphing sine with amplitude, period, and we're going to do reflections in this lesson as well. So let's start with our axes, just like we did before. And exactly like cosine, we say y equals a sine bx, where the absolute value of a is going to be my amplitude. Two pi over b is going to be my period, or my cycle. And if a is negative, then it reflects. So just like cosine, my midline is always this number out here, d. That's my midline. For this lesson, the midline is always going to be y equals 0. So a quick XY table, and we're going to bring in our unit circle real quick again. If x is 0, instead of y being 1, it's going to be 0, 0 now. So here's what happened. When x was 0, y was 0. When x was pi over 2, y was 1. When x was pi, y was 0. When x was 3 pi over 2, y was negative 1, and when x is 2 pi, it's back to 0. Well, let's go back and find my amplitude. Since a is 1, my amplitude is 1. So 1, negative 1. B is 1, so my period is 2 pi. Always divide your periods into fourths. And now let's plot out our points. At 0, I'm at 0. At pi over 2, I'm at 1. At pi, I'm back to 0. 3 pi over 2, I'm at negative 1. And at 2 pi, I'm back to 0. So the sine curve, one cycle of it, looks like that. Differences. Cosine started at 1. Sine starts at 0. So instead of starting at the max or the min, I'm starting on the midline. So there are my points. My midline is at y equals 0. There's the sine curve. Remember, for sine, I'm going to start on the midline. For cosine, I'm either going to start at its max or its min.